Hi, and welcome to the VR Gaming Podcast. It's a podcast and commentary about VR gaming, VR news, VR hardware, and VR reviews. I'm your host, Nick Lane, and with me is Justin Davis. Justin, man, as usual, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey, Nick, I'm good because I've been playing VR all day or all night because my daughter is with her grandparents tonight, and that's always fun when I get some time to completely immerse myself. So I've been doing that today before we started this podcast.
Nice. What better way to kind of get into the spirit of talking about VR than playing VR? It's kind of the ideal, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about what you've been playing for the last month. I see a decent amount of games on the list.
Yeah. So 2076 Midway Multiverse. This is by the same dev that made 1976 like Return to Midway or Back to Midway. It's a similar game, but this one's in the future, and it's more of a side scroller. And but sometimes it changes perspective, like behind the ship, and it's pretty cool. There are these immersion zones, just like in 1976. And this dev also made Operation Warcade, where they had these like immersion zones, and it's that sort of thing. It's sort of like an arcadey feel. It's pretty cool. Then Tethered, that was on sale for like $5. It was originally a PSVR game exclusive, and came to Steam. And it's one of these God games, like sort of like black and white, where there are these little characters, and you have to tell them where to go and what to build, and you're fighting off enemies, but like you're telling them, you're directing them to go fight or directing them to go build. It's like a real-time strategy game. That's not really my genre, but since it was only $5, I wanted to try it. But it looks pretty good. It seems like that'd be a fun game for somebody that's into that genre. Then there's this VK 3D Vision thing that came out this month. It's so if you go to 3dsurroundgaming.com, you can download these drivers, and they're for Vulkan games that use Vulkan graphics. So like that's games like Doom Eternal, Doom 2016, Quake 2 RTX, Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus, Wolfenstein Youngblood, and then Detroit Become Human and The Surge 2 are all these Vulkan games that you can now play in 3D VR. You would play them on an actual a VR screen, so it's not totally immersive VR. It's 3D on a screen, but it's free. This VK 3D Vision. You can just go to that website, 3dsurroundgaming.com, and you can download it. And if you already have those games, now you can play them in 3D VR, and you can make the screen as big as you want. So you could make it wrap up around you if you want, and make it really immersive. And the performance was good. I tried I tried Doom Eternal, Doom, Quake 2 RTX, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, and Wolfenstein Youngblood. But some of them had some graphical quirks, like Quake 2 RTX. That was there was some weird stuff going on, probably because of the RTX ray tracing stuff. But if you're willing to tinker a little bit with an INI file and stuff like that, I would recommend trying those out. I tried Synth Riders finally. It was on sale, and I've heard good things about it. I think Nick, you said it's really good, right?
I liked it. Of all the kind of rhythm games that are available, I liked Synth Riders the best.
Yeah. Yeah, and I always doubted it until I tried it, and I was like, damn, I actually like this, and I even bought 5 songs.
Wow.
So I spent 10 extra bucks.
Yeah, what's your stance on rhythm games? I know we did a whole episode. Do you like them a lot? Do you not really like them? Are you in the middle?
I don't. When Beat Saber first came out, I liked it a lot, but now I don't play it anymore ever. And I liked Ragnarok, but I played it a little bit and never again. I get bored of it. I'm sure I'll probably get bored of Synth Riders, but I like the music in Synth Riders more than Beat Saber's music. I like that 80s synthwave stuff that they have in there. And I like Ragnarok because it has metal. But it was fun. I don't know. I had a good time, and they added this I think it's called spiral mode or something, where instead of everything coming at you just in one straight lane, you have to spin and it's coming at you from all these different angles and stuff. And you can make it more intense so that it's coming around. This stuff's coming at you all 360 degrees. And I tried that out. That was crazy. Have you tried that mode yet?
No, I haven't tried it. I don't think it would appeal to me because of the whole like chord issue and getting tangled. But yeah, I'm with you on the rhythm games. I'm like the same with you. Like I've played all the ones you mentioned, and you know they never stick with me like the way people really love them. But out of all of them, Synth Riders has been my favorite, and that's still installed on my computer. Will I ever load it up and play it again? I don't know, but if I had to play a rhythm game, that would be the one I played. I always had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was done well in the way it gets kind of like your body moving rather than like just slicing things like a sword in Beat Saber. This is definitely will get you moving to a way that I don't know if I'd go as far as to call it dancing, although I've seen people play this game and they can really dance to it. But you can kind of get lost in it in a good way and engage your whole body in it. So I like it the best.
And I like the way like a guitar riff, you could hold a note and then like kind of like raise your arm as the guitar riff is, you know, going up, and it like feels good.
Yeah, it does feel good.
Like those rail lines or whatever they're called.
Yeah, and that's the difference between like Synth Riders and Beat Saber. And Beat Saber gets like so much credit and so much, you know, like everyone knows Beat Saber. Beat Saber, you're just slashing. You know, you're making these sharp movements.
Yeah.
This game will have you do stuff with your body and arms, like you said. Like you really feel it in a way that I never did with Beat Saber, which is more kind of this frantic, like almost attacking the song rather than like kind of getting in the flow of it and feeling it.
And it has leaderboards like the other, like Beat Saber, and I don't know if Ragnarok does, but yeah, Ragnarok has leaderboards. But it has a leaderboard, and I looked through all the songs looking for your and Goran's scores, so I made it my mission to beat you guys. So you guys have work to do.
That's great.
Yeah.
No, that's fun. And I remember when I stopped playing it, this is maybe a year and a half ago, the last time I really picked it up, but they do have a nice multiplayer mode. It's pretty straightforward. They might have gotten it better then, but I remember they can have like I think maybe up to 8 people in a lobby.
Oh, really?
So wow. I don't know. That game is good. I might have to pop back in just to see what's new and different in it. But yeah, for anybody listening to this, we did a nice show on rhythm games, so I'd recommend going and checking that out if you're interested in rhythm games. But my favorite is Synth Riders. I've not loaded Ragnarok back up, even though it was kind of fun for a while, but then I just kind of move on, and there's so many other games I'd rather be playing.
Yeah. So then I got The Persistence. That was a PSVR exclusive. I also got it on PSVR. I played it, I don't know, like once or twice and never again. It came out on PC, and I was like, well, let me try it again. Maybe it's better on PC. And it might look better on PC. I think it's using DLSS, and it's using RTX. It's using ray tracing. But the big issue with this one is your controls are locked to one perspective. Like it's kind of hard to explain. Like you need to sit in a chair, and if you're moving in the game, you need to keep your head still. Because if you look to the right, like 90 degrees to the right, you know, you have to still press. Then you have to press to the right on your analog stick to move that direction. Like the forward direction is always locked to one direction in this game. I don't know why.
Yeah, sounds terrible.
Yeah, it was on sale for $10. I should refund it just because of that. So yeah, that's a fatal flaw there. It's a horror game, which I like, and it's really tense, but that doesn't save it. Then Espire 1, that was on sale for like $8.99, and I tried that when it first came out and didn't like it, and I didn't really like it this time either. It's a stealth game where you're going around, you know, killing guys stealthily, but like they always end up seeing you. Somebody ends up seeing you and they hunt you down, and they have really poor AI, and it's just not a very good game. And The Persistence and Espire 1 are both mixed on Steam, so you can see why. And then I played After the Fall. Of course, we're going to talk about that. And I played Web VR. Like that's a James Webb Space Telescope VR experience that's free on Steam. It came out in 2018, But since that telescope's launching December 22nd, I wanted to play it again just to remind myself. And I think that's worth doing. It's free. And if you're interested in, in space or anything like that, I recommend that.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. I know when I talked to you earlier, you said you had not been playing a lot of VR. You were doing a lot of your MAME stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel like I did a lot of VR this past month.
I'd say it's a healthy amount. It's still solid.
A lot of this stuff was just like one short session, so I didn't play most of these for very long.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So, per usual, I play less games than you, but I did play a lot of VR in this last month. For sure, this was a heavy VR month, and I think a lot of it had to do with getting the bHaptics suit, which we'll review that, and also after the fall, later on after we get through the news. But some of the games I played were after the fall. I played GTFO because it's got a mod for VR, and I was thinking like maybe I'll review that now, but I'm going to save it for maybe our next podcast. So the thing with GTFO is, first of all, spoiler alert, I like the game a lot. Like, I'm really happy I picked it up. I was kind of dancing around getting it or not getting it, and what motivated me to get it was because it had bHaptics support, and some of the guys in our Discord got the game, so I was like, okay, I'll jump into it. It's a 4-player co-op stealth game. It's a 2D game, but it's somebody modded it, and it worked really well in VR. Really well. I mean, you got to play around with some of the settings to get it to run well, but it's all doable. And I'm playing on a 2080. I had to lower the resolution and get rid of some of this, and this, but it looked good and ran good. The caveat with that is they just released version 1.0, and it came out of early access. And in doing so, the mod no longer works. This is just a few days ago that this happened. So there's the Discord channel for the the 2D to VR gaming mods, and they were talking about this, and the modder who does the mod for this game basically said it's the kind of thing that's not going to be fixed in a day, but it won't take a month either. So I think every time that I got the sense in that channel that every time they come out with a new rundown, and I'm kind of getting into the weeds here, but a rundown is basically like they update the game. A rundown is like, I don't know, they release something like let's just say hypothetically like 6 levels to the game. Like sometimes it's like 6 to 10 or something like that. There's various levels in each rundown. And once a rundown's over, like we're in rundown 6 right now, so the levels that were in rundown 5, you can't play them anymore. They're gone. Which is kind of cool. It's kind of like you see a lot of it when they come out with a new rundown. You see a lot of activity, and you can find matches easier. And then, like when I was playing the game a couple weeks ago, and I'm lucky I played it when I did, so I got to experience it. We were getting to the end of rundown 5, so there weren't a lot of people on playing it because they've already played through it. Kind of an interesting game. If you've ever played Payday 2, it's made by at least part of the team that made Payday 2, is my understanding. So that will give you some idea of how the game operates. Again, very stealth, very like doing things slowly and procedurally. But the bHaptics support in that game was fantastic, and I can't wait for them to mod it so I can start playing that game. It's on sale now. Maybe is it still on sale? It was on sale when they released it. It might be on sale for another day or two or something.
I think it's on sale until December 17th.
Awesome.
December 17th. And I bought it for $29.99 yesterday.
All right. Well, I'll be good, and I'll get this podcast up tomorrow, which we're recording on the 14th. So hopefully I get up in time. So if you're listening to it and you're intrigued by that and you like this idea of a VR game that's, it's a solid 2D game that's been modded for VR. It's a 4-player co-op. It's built around stealth. It's hardcore. That's the thing. Like, you got to understand, you really need to be playing with ideally a group of friends, or you can find people in Discord. I went into random matches with people, and I got lucky because the people were pretty good in the random matches, and they kind of carried me through, and I learned the game that way. It's a hard game to learn, There's like no tutorial. It doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't pretend to like hold your hand. It's hardcore. But if that's appealing to you, then I highly recommend picking it up while it's on sale because it's $29.99, and that's a great price, man, for this game. All right, so I also played Larcenauts. I hopped back into that game, and that game's come along nicely. I mean, there was that really rough start when they launched the game. They released it earlier than they said they would release it, and it had so many problems off the bat. Now the game is just in a really good state. There's some things that they can work on, but it should not stop anybody from buying it if you like the idea of a hero shooter. So I say this carefully. Think Overwatch, but don't expect it to be Overwatch, but it's that kind of game, right? Where they've added a payload mode into it, where you push the payload. That'll be reminiscent of Overwatch. You've got your classes of characters, and each character has their own ability. I was favorable in my review of that game when we reviewed it several months ago, but it's in a great spot now. I will just caution everybody that it's tough. There's a lot of times when I hop in the game, I'm seeing the same people over and over and over again playing it, and they're really good. So just understand, sometimes you'll be on a team that's demolishing, and sometimes you'll get demolished, but stick with it. It's a fun game, and I'm happy to see the development of it continuing. It's cross-play with Quest, so most of the people who are playing are on Quest, and it has bHaptics support, and the bHaptics support is really good in that game. I played a little bit of Hyperdash. We reviewed that the other month, and I was hot on it. Funnily and oddly enough, my focus was Larcenauts and GTFO in the past month. Those are the games that captured most of my attention, and After the Fall, because that's the new release. Played a little Pavlov. Played some Cookout with friends, because that's now on Steam. Played a little bit of Walkabout Mini Golf. Man, that game is just so good. Have you gotten it yet, Justin?
Yeah, I have it. I have it on Oculus and Steam. I just don't play it much.
Okay. They keep on adding courses to it. Mm-hmm. So I've been played it for like 6 months, so I hop back in, and the free courses that they included in the game, the update this year, they're both great, and then they're just popping out DLC, and it's just everything's just quality. Like the DLC courses are like $2.99, which is an absolute no-brainer if you got the game. So Walkabout Mini Golf is definitely like a must-have VR game in my opinion.
Yeah.
And also we've got it's too late. I'll do a plug. It's too late to sign up because it's already off to the races. But in our Discord there is a pretty damn big Walkabout Mini Golf League going on. So great way to meet other people in VR. Ton of pinball people because of the crossover of the work I do in pinball. We've got some actual pinball designers. Keith Elwin's actually in the league, I saw, which is awesome. He's the greatest pinball player ever, and perhaps maybe the greatest pinball designer ever.
Wow.
And then a lot of content creators there. So this is meaningless if you know nothing about pinball, but if you do, there you go. To get into that Discord, there should be a link on the VR Gaming Podcast Twitter. So just click that link. And if you have a problem and you can't get in or something, just shoot me an email at vrgamingpodcast@gmail.com, and I'll make sure you get in. But just a plug for that Discord. It's a great community. There's other games that people are organizing there. If you want to play, After the Fall with Justin and I, join that. If you want to play GTFO, we're always looking for people for that. Join there. If you want a group to play games with, that's a nice place to go. And then I played this game Iron Rebellion because it's this mech game that's built for the ground up for VR. They have a public alpha demo that you can download. I downloaded it. I didn't like the game at all. The movement just felt really bad. I think I can't remember if I was using a joystick or a game controller, but it just was almost like motion sick inducing the way the bobbing was going on. Maybe it's just so early and it will get good, but I didn't like it. I do want a good mech game, and I do see that there is a mod for MechWarrior 5, so maybe one day I'll try that mod out.
I tried the demo of Iron Rebellion a little while back, and I liked it, but there wasn't much there. It was just one little arena, and it was just killing waves of enemies.
Yeah. There was that other mech game a couple years ago.
Vox Machina?
Yeah, and that struck me as a better mech game for what's there. So... yeah, I don't know. It's the demo's there, so check out Iron Rebellion if that piques anybody's interest. And then I'm still working my way through Resident Evil 7. I brought my Quest home.
You mean 4?
I'm sorry, 4. I do mean 4.
Yeah.
At that. I'm still working my way through Resident Evil 4. I don't play it much. When I was visiting my family at home, I took the Quest home and just to get my VR fixed. So I was working my way through it then. So getting close to the end.
I'm still thinking about getting a Quest 2 for that. I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to save you some money. I'd say get a bHaptics Vest instead.
Okay.
Especially though, here's the thing, like, especially with the mods that they're making for Resident Evil 7 and 8 and 2 and 3, like, you'll get your fix that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless you're a huge Resident Evil fan, I don't know, or if you're just looking for an excuse to spend money, I don't want to stop you, but
yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Let's go to news. What do we got, Justin?
Yeah. So speaking of Resident Evil 4, that won the VR Game of the Year at the Game Awards in December recently. The other nominees were Hitman 3, which is a PSVR exclusive, but that used the gamepad. It didn't you with a PS4 gamepad you can have some weak motion control from it because the PSVR camera can still see the gamepad. But I don't know. I wasn't interested in it, so I didn't try it, even though I have PSVR. Then Lone Echo 2 was nominated. I mean, I don't know why. I don't think that game's very good, but I guess because it's such a big production. I Expect You to Die 2 was nominated, and Sniper Elite VR, which I didn't like, we talked about on this show, was nominated.
And who puts on the Game Awards?
Jeff Keighley? Jeff Keighley is he's this personality, and he kind of was involved in Half-Life.
I remember that. Yeah. I remember he did the interview on that. So I mean, like, this is God, the Game Awards. This is not like an exclusively like VR thing. This is like they're focused on 2D gaming, and then like they're sort of obligated, right? Because it's the Game Awards, so you got to have a VR component. But I can see why like things like Lone Echo 2 get thrown in there, and like sort of the quote unquote bigger names.
Yeah, Sniper Elite has a name that's more recognizable to flat gamers. Yeah, and Hitman, of course.
This is what you're gonna get from this kind of pop culture gaming award show for the most part.
Previously, they've given the award to Tetris Effect.
You guys get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
A game that was made in like 1989 that's still being made today. Good for it, but it's Tetris, dude.
Yeah.
It's Tetris.
Yeah. So, for me, my game of the year, well, I don't know. It depends. Would you include a flat game that has a VR mod? Is that even eligible, or would it only be,
Well, you can do whatever you want. You can put that caveat. Why don't you do that? You could do both. That way you can't go wrong, right? Do one that if you want to give it to the one that has a mod, that's cool. But what would be also your one that built ground up one?
All right, so this one doesn't actually count because Outer Wilds came out in 2019 and its VR mod came out in 2020, so it doesn't really. But I played it in 2021, but that would be my game of the year just as far as games that I played. But then, okay,
all right, so you're pushing it. It didn't even come out this year, and it's not a ground up.
Yeah.
That's all right.
It doesn't really count.
Just because Justin played it in this year doesn't make it the game of the year. It's got to come.
Yeah. Then Subnautica Below Zero came out in 2019, but the VR mod came out in 2021. So I don't know if that counts. But if it counts, I would say Subnautica Below Zero is my game of the year. But if that doesn't count, my other nominees would be Cosmo Dread, Eye of the Temple, Song in the Smoke, After the Fall, Myst, Walkabout, Mini Golf. It came out on to Steam in 2021, but it might have been originally 2020, like for Oculus. I'm not sure. Then I Expect You to Die 2. Of those, you're not gonna like it, Nick. But of those, my favorite that I had the most fun in is Cosmo Dread. That's my VR game of the year.
All right.
It's kind of shocking.
All right. Nice.
It was a weak year. It was a weak year. Yeah.
It shouldn't have been weak when you think like, oh, Lone Echo 2 came out, right? Like, or After the Fall, which they've been making for years. But
Yeah.
you're right. It's pretty weak.
Maybe COVID affected it.
Yeah, yeah. And I forgot about Walkabout. I mean, Walkabout came out on Steam this year, so in some ways you can count it. You can again put an asterisk. Um, yeah, my God, I'd say that my game of the year in this week year is After the Fall, which we're going to review. So I'll go over all the reasons there for that. I think the honorable mentions would be Larcenauts. Larcenauts is like I said earlier in this podcast, it's in a good place now. It wasn't in a good place for a while, but what's there now is really good. It's still some things that could be worked on, but I think it's a good contender for Game of the Year and deserves more. Deserves to be mentioned.
And I still haven't played it.
Yeah, if you've never played a hero shoot, it's a first-person shooter that's a hero shooter, and if that's like totally foreign to you, maybe you like it, maybe you won't. I don't know. If you like hero shooters, then yeah, I think you would.
I don't think I've ever played one.
Yeah. It's just about like every character's unique, and you have unique abilities. I think, and working as a team, which is cool. Hyperdash, I'd put up there as well. Hyperdash is like an arcadey first-person shooter. Like you pop in, play a little while, and you're feeling pretty good. But After the Fall gets it in this week year, and then Walkabout would be a really strong contender if you want to count it as this year. Walkabout is just, again, it's a no-brainer. Get the game. So.
Yeah, I've been thinking, could I get my dad, if I bought him a Quest 2, could I get him to play Walkabout? I don't know. Because we used to play mini golf together when I was a kid. We used to play that a lot. So I don't know, maybe.
That's like the best. That's a really good gateway game to play with people. Like, everyone understands mini golf, right?
Yeah.
And it just is done so well in it. It's a lot of fun. Maybe. Yeah, maybe that would be, if you're going to get your dad into anything, I think that'd be it, if you want looking for a game to play with him.
Yeah. I don't know if he could handle the comfort of the Quest 2.
Yeah, you probably probably to mod the heck out of it, right? Like, even with, I got a mod, and I haven't wrote this down in the show notes. I forgot all about it. I got a mod. I forgot how much, like $20 or $30 I paid for it, and it makes it a little bit better, but it's still nothing like the Index. That's the crazy thing. But it makes it tolerable.
Which ones you get?
Continue with the news, and I'll let you know. I got to look it up.
Oh, okay. So, some announcements as far as upcoming games. Hitman 3 is coming to PC VR with motion controls. And I'm not sure from the announcement. It might be coming as soon as January, or it might just be January that they're going to give more information. But it's probably going to be early 2022. So that's cool. Then Among Us VR was announced this month. That's going to come, I think, to all platforms: Steam, Quest, PSVR. I never played Among Us, the original, the flat game, but it was really popular for a little while. I don't know about now. Cities VR is coming out in spring 2022. That's going to be a Quest exclusive. I think they said they might be bringing it to other platforms. That's by the Cities Skylines developers. And I have that game in my Steam library, but I've never tried it, Cities Skylines. So then I'm excited about this. Moss Book 2 will be coming spring 2022. And they've only said it's coming to PSVR. I hope it's not a PSVR exclusive. I mean, I hope they bring it to Steam. Or it could just be timed like Moss was, the original. Moss is probably my favorite VR platformer. My next favorite would be Astrobot, which is a PSVR exclusive also. Then an upcoming game coming December 16th is Against. That's coming on Steam. I don't know if it's coming to any other platforms, but I did the demo for Against, and that was actually surprisingly fun. It's sort of like Pistol Whip and Beat Saber, but there's more mechanics involved. Like, sometimes you're doing melee, sometimes you're shooting, sometimes you're running up on the side of walls, and like it's way more varied than Pistol Whip and Beat Saber. And you have enemies coming at you. Some are punching you, some are shooting at you. Then sometimes you have these big boss characters. And they upgraded the graphics since the demo that I played. All the videos that I'm watching of it now, it looks way better. So I'm definitely getting that when that comes out. And that's all I have as far as upcoming releases that interest me. There are probably some more, but I haven't been really following those.
Yeah, I don't have anything that I'm super excited about. Although Hitman 3, I'm like, okay, I've got my eye on it. The Hitman series, those type of kind of stealth games, they're stealth kind of puzzle solving first person games, right? Like how do you tackle a mission and kind of open ended. That's not something that ever appealed to me as a flat gamer, but this is the kind of thing where it's like VR puts a whole different spin on it, and now I'm like interested in that. I think that concept is way more interesting to me in VR. So I hope it's good. I hope this is a full-fledged game with that they do it justice. I am always skeptical because we've just been disappointed left and right with companies putting out games and just kind of failing to grasp where we are at VR in 2021, nearly 2022, and sometimes they're still doing things that would have been questionable in 2017, but man, this could be good. I nothing else really pops out in that list that you have, but I do want to play the game Into the Radius. We had a listener recommend that to us, and kind of said in Discord, when are you guys gonna get to it? And I had been waiting for them to come out with their version 2.0 of it, which dropped in November. So I will play that game, and I'm just kind of waiting for the right time when I'm looking to jump into something new, because it seems like there's a lot to bite off in that, and I'd rather not do it when I'm juggling like a ton of games. So I want to get around to that. I want to give a review now that it's out. So that's on my list. And then you were asking what head strap I got. So this was challenging. Excuse me, with finding head straps for the Quest, because there's no shortage of them, and they all sort of look the same, and you just don't know what's junk and what's not. And you see all these reviews and everybody likes them, and then you see other reviews that people are painful. So the one I got, I'm get to spell this name. I think somebody recommended it in Discord. It has over 700 ratings on Amazon. It was $25.99, so it seemed like a reasonable price to try it out. I'm gonna try to pronounce it. Ioviarigo. It's IovrOigo. Ioviargo. Adjustable halo strap. It's an improvement over the jock strap. There's no doubt. I can stay in VR longer. It's still not that great. I'm glad I got it. It's an improvement. For sure it's an improvement. But man, it just shows how good the index is.
Did your girlfriend try it?
Not yet. She's not been I can't get her to play VR anymore. She's I don't know.
Yeah, my wife gave up a long time ago.
I don't know. I mean, I was trying to play mini golf with her the other day and cook out with some friends, and it's just she likes R better. She said she likes reality. So I'm not gonna argue. I just I'm like, all right. I just want to include you. So yeah, it's not bad for $25.99. I'm glad I got it. If somebody has a better recommendation out there that you absolutely swear by, feel free to write us and let us know. You can, hit us up at vrgamingpodcast@gmail.com.
A lot of people have been talking about this Bobo VR M2 head strap lately that has a battery on the back. You can hot swap the batteries out while you're playing. I don't know, but I've heard conflicting reviews, so I don't know.
You know what's funny? I've never wanted to keep the Quest on so long that I even get into a battery issue.
Yeah.
And I don't even even with the index we're comfortable. I don't really spend hours on end in VR. I guess I take breaks and I come back to it, so that's where it can be helpful. But all right, that's a good recommendation. I'm glad you put that out there, because I'm not looking at it from the perspective of a battery, but I know for people who want to play longer, even if you play for an hour and you come back, you want to swap it out, you're still risking it, right? The thing running out of battery especially if you're playing a multiplayer game with people.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on. If that's it for the news, let's move on to the reviews. I'll start with the bHaptics. So I was feeling like treating myself to like a present because I have not spent really any money on PC hardware or VR hardware at all this year. I didn't feel too bad pulling the trigger. We've got a couple guys in our Discord who have the bHaptics suit, and they were saying it's cool, and they would always be talking about, oh, does this game have support? Does that game have support? And I don't know. I had money burning a hole in my pocket, and I would normally never get something like this, but I figured, I could send it back if I don't like it, because they allow you to do that. So I pulled the trigger, and it took maybe about a month to get it. I was looking on their site now. Like if you order now, I think you would get it early January. I think it's coming from South Korea. But once it shipped, like they said, like it would ship on November 17th. Like I got it like 3 days later through DHL. So it came quickly once it did ship, and it shipped when they said it would, which is nice. And also, I think part of the push to get it was this. The one I got was the TactSuit X40. The 40 means that there's 40 haptics in it, 20 in front, 20 in back. There's an X16 version, and that has 16 haptics, and it's cheaper. I think it's $299 for that one. But I was like, yeah, it's $499, which is, think about it, that's more than a Quest. It's half the price of an Index. So you start trying to factor where this plays into everything. But it's like I spend enough time in VR. I want the full VR immersion experience as much as I can, like much as I can to kind of push the limits. So I'll grab it, I'll try it. And also with supply shortages and inflation and things going up, this thing's only going to become more expensive if I wait. So there you go. Maybe that's a sales pitch to anybody who's on the fence to trying this out. And I watched a number of reviews, and I think the general consensus on the YouTube reviews that I saw were people like, yeah, it's cool, but it's a lot of money. And you can kind of live without it or that, and that's kind of how they left it, right? So that was the impression I had going in. It's a lot of money. It's probably not. I almost like got the impression I might be a little disappointed by it, or I might think it's going to be better than it is. But when I put it on, and the haptics kicked in after I got shot, I was like, wow, this is cool. And I just had that thought registered in my mind. I was like aware of that thought, and I'm like, I always need to have haptics now in VR games, like period. Like wow. If you take that away from me, it's like something's broken and something's missing.
Damn.
It just seems. I mean, we have haptics in our. Imagine if you lost haptics in controllers, right? Mm-hmm. You would think something's wrong, right? Like it's not working. It should have haptics, and that's the same kind of feeling. Like once you put this vest on. Like we were playing After the Fall, and After the Fall doesn't have support for it, and I'm having fun in After the Fall. But I know if I had that suit on, it would just add that extra level of immersion to it.
Yeah. What if you could feel a zombie swiping at you or something?
Correct. Yeah. Correct. And it's able to do that kind of stuff with the 40 sensors. It's able to. It really depends on who's programming it. So we'll get into that a little bit. There are, I would say, a good number of games supported for this. If you go to their website and you click on experiences and you click on VR, you'll see a lot of, especially Steam games that are supported. So some games are supported because the game naturally supports it, so the developers have incorporated support, and some games like Population 1 that the devs haven't, which is crazy to me that they haven't. What the hell, devs? Come on. So somebody's made a mod for it which you could download. So in some case, you got to use a mod. But there is a good, healthy list of games. Most, of course, are first-person shooter. And as you said, if you're playing a sword game, I guess allegedly, you get swiped by a sword, you'll feel that swipe across your body. And that is cool. Like that kind of feeling is cool. That feedback, knowing I'm getting shot in the back, right? That's an advantage in a game. Like that kind of quicker response and feedback in it. This also works with the Quest, but I think when I was doing my research, there's only maybe like 16 games that the Quest supports, and versus 48 plus games that the PC supports. So my recommendation is that if you're intrigued by this, you're looking at this, just go and look at the list of games that they support. And if there's games on that list that you're playing a lot of, then I can easily recommend the TactSuit to you. If there's games not on the list, then I don't get it, right? Like you got to have games to play for and games that support it. And if you're spending a lot of time in VR and you have the kind of money to get this thing, I think it's totally worth it. People who have an Index who can spend $1,000 on a headset, I don't think it's crazy to spend $500 on a haptic suit. And the suit itself, by their specs, is a little under 4 pounds. It's kind of like somebody was describing it, kind of like how you put on a life preserver. Obviously, it's not puffed out like that, but the way you tighten the straps, it just, when I took it out of the box, it just feels like really good quality. Like it's all the materials, the zipper, everything on it, the straps feels legitimately good quality stuff. Like I felt good about the money I spent on this. Had to download. It came with like a dongle because it's connected via Bluetooth. Had to go to their website and download some software. The software was painless, easy to set up, easy to install. After I did that, I turned on the thing, and it paired nicely. And then I just looked at the list of games. I made sure when I'm playing like Larcenauts to check, the settings that I'm using bHaptics. I had to do that with some other games, and sometimes it's just on by default. But it was really easy to use and get set up. The other thing with the game is when you get this, like, it takes a long, long, long time to charge. Like, you're talking like, do it before you go to bed and then wake up in the morning and it should be ready. But the battery lasts forever. I think on their website it says like 18 plus hours. I've played a lot of VR in the last few weeks with this, and I'm still like at probably like 90% or 89% or something like that. I've not had to charge it again since playing it. It just has a massive amount of battery life in it, which is really cool.
I figured you'd just leave it charging when you're done.
I mean, I don't need to, like I don't need it connected to, getting the cable out, connecting to my computer, like worrying about that. Like,
oh, it has to connect to your computer?
Well, it comes with a cable. Mm-hmm. It's a USB-C cable. Okay. So I just put it into the, I use my computer to charge it.
That's probably why it's so slow. If you did it to an outlet, it would probably be faster.
Probably.
Yeah, okay.
But I didn't want to mess around with it. I wanted it to kind of charge at a rate that I imagine that's, you would connect a computer to charge. Mm-hmm. So, and other people said it takes a long time to charge. I don't know if they're using something else. Obviously, that speed up. But yeah, that thing lasts forever, man. I mean, like I've used it for a couple of weeks now. I've spent hours in that thing, and it's still like above 85% charge. So,
okay.
And then if it gets down to like 40%, probably in a month, I'll just put it on the charger, go to bed, and wake up, and then the next day I'm good to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what else I can say about it. There are other accessories, like there's like one for your head, so you can, feel like you got headshots. They have ones that you put on your hands and your wrist and your feet. I don't feel the need to get that at all. Their marketing on their site is kind of like, the ones for the hands would be if you're playing like a boxing game, right? Which makes sense. The ones on your wrist would give like your feedback when you shoot a gun, which sounds cool, but I feel like that would affect your performance in the game, and your aim. Mm-hmm. So you got to take that kind of into consideration. I think the suit's more than enough for me, for sure. Larcenauts, out of the games I played, I felt was particularly good. Hyperdash was cool, but there was a lot of feedback, and like you're really like using boosts in Hyperdash, so you actually feel like the rock on your back boosting you. It's just cool. I haven't tried the mod with Population 1 because I've just been playing these other games. GTFO was great. GTFO, I felt like when I was getting swiped by the monsters in that game, the kind of anybody who's played GTFO, like when you launch into a mission and you're kind of like in these I don't know what you want to call these pods, Like the whole suit is just vibrating because it's moving you in this pod, and that just felt so cool. Like you have 40 haptic sensors vibrating your body. Man, that's immersion. That's really cool. And I haven't played it with Alex yet, but people were saying that like when you you stick your hand in that thing to get your health back up, like it's almost like a massage vibration, and like I could totally see how that is. Like when my health was low in a game, the thing was like pulsing like a heartbeat. It's the kind of thing where I'm really glad I got it. Yes, it's $500, but again, if you've got $1,000 headset and you're really into VR, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably really into it, and you have a PC, go check the list of games. I don't think you'd be disappointed, and if you are, you can send it back. It's not like it's a haptic like in a controller haptic, right? It feels like that. You can turn up the intensity from what the standard is. I was happy with it at 100%. I have not even tried it boosted because I haven't felt the need. I don't need that thing to punch me, and leave a welt. It's not going to come close to that, right? It's just something that shakes.
It goes higher than 100%?
Yeah, apparently. I guess Goran and Carl in our Discord, they boost up to like 300, but I didn't for once think that it needed that. I was happy with the feedback it was providing. So there you go. I don't really have a downside. I mean, you just got to decide if the price is worth it to you. It was totally worth it to me. I'm really happy with that. I look at this kind of like these third party things, like this. I almost saw this in the realm of those, whether like the Cat VR or whatever, like the
treadmills,
the treadmill stuff. Like it's not. This seems like this is like a necessary accessory for VR. Like it's something that is just will become like a natural thing, and maybe the price will come down over time. I'm sure as they produce more of it and the market gets bigger, they can lower costs because there's more demand that you can buy in bulk. But again, I'm happy with the quality. It's really good. So shout out to bHaptics. They got a really good product.
When you're shot, is it always in do you feel a different location?
100%. So that's where. So I got the TactSuit X40. There's 40 haptics, 20 in front, 20 in back. If I get shot in the lower back, I'm gonna feel lower back right side. I'm gonna feel it there. I'm gonna feel wherever I got shot. Maybe if I wanted to go crazy, maybe the head, the one for the headshots, but I don't need that. Usually if you get a headshot, you're dead anyway, so what's the point?
Does it change based on the type of weapon that shoots you?
That would really be game dependent. The tools are there for the dev or the modder to decide, the intensity, like the size. I imagine, if you get shot with a shotgun, I can't think through a specific game, but if you get shot with a shotgun, that's going to feel differently than getting shot with a laser or a pistol. Like, that's all doable, right? Because you've got so many points of control in those 40 haptics that you can really play around with them.
Okay. Were you getting hot, and do you think in the summer you wouldn't want to use it?
I was not getting hot whatsoever. My room tends to be cooler because it's the winter time in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if you put a nearly 4-pound vest on and your room's hot and you're potentially getting sweaty anyways, then you're probably gonna get sweaty, right? So it's just. But I didn't get sweaty at all in a room that's probably like 68 degrees, 67 degrees. I wasn't playing like Synth Riders or anything. I was just playing first-person shooters, but I wasn't sweaty in that at all.
Yeah, I wonder if you played Synth Riders, what it would do.
Yeah, probably pulses to the music, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sure it's fun, but then again, I wouldn't want a game like Synth Riders. I wouldn't want to be weighted down by anything.
Yeah.
And what's that these are good questions because when I was thinking about like when I was playing GTFO, so my character in that GTFO has like a vest on, it has a helmet. Like when I had all that stuff on, I felt even more immersed, right? Because I've got this tactical jacket on. It's put some weight on me. I've got a VR helmet on. Like I felt legit.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it.
You can always send it back.
Yeah.
Can always send it back. I don't know if you play enough games though. You're not a huge first-person shooter guy. So
yeah, is it mostly multiplayer games?
I think so. I'm looking at the list now. There's a good amount on there. It's probably a good excuse to go play Half-Life Alyx again. People said it's really good in there. But I'm seeing a lot of first-person shooter games or multiplayer games. Yeah, a lot of them.
Okay.
Somehow I Expect You to Die has and Expect You to Die 2 has it, which I find funny.
They don't. I wonder if like Doom 1 and 2 has support for this. Or Doom 3.
It says Quest Z Doom.
Yeah, Z Doom.
Quest Doom. Quest 3 Doom for Quest has support.
Maybe it's only the Quest versions of Doom.
Yeah, those have support.
Okay.
I think if you have a Quest though, I don't think it's probably not worth getting. It's going to be really put in question if it's worth getting it. Depends on how much you play the games that support it.
Okay.
But that's not your case. So, but it's cool for GTFO. I'll tell you.
Does it have Compound?
Does it have Compound? I don't think I saw it on there.
Okay.
Should tell the dev to put it in there. He's always updating the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I can't imagine it's that heavy of a lift, and people seem to really appreciate it when it gets in there.
Okay.
I was surprised at how many games are supporting it, and I think as more games support it, more people get it, it's going to become more of a standard thing. So really, really happy that GTFO has it though. Like that's so awesome. Like that's it's fun. That's my favorite game to play with that. And then Larcenauts. I've been spending a lot of time playing Larcenauts because that's good. All right. Well, speaking of a game. Next up, that really needs bHaptics support. Our one game that we're reviewing, which is a big game. This is a big deal. After the fall, they've been making this game was at least announced in 2019, if not earlier. Do you remember how far back that goes?
Yeah, it could have been 2018. I'm not sure. It's been in development for over 2 years, I think.
Yeah. So this is by Vertigo Games, which. If that's familiar, that's because they made the Arizona Sunshine game, which is one of the OG VR games. It's a lot of people have that game because it was one of the kind of the first-person shooters and kind of one of the first full game that was built ground up for VR, which probably seems ancient if we went back and played it today. But it's one of the first. The first time I got VR, it's one of the first games I bought, and I played through all that. It came out just a few days ago on December 9th of this year. It's $39.99, so this is one of the more expensive games in VR. There's maybe only a couple games that are actually more money than this game, which is Half-Life Alyx and Medal of Honor. It's currently sitting at 82% on Steam. I'm surprised by that. And it's 4 out of 5 on Quest.
I wonder if it's still on sale. I'm going there now to see if it's on sale.
Oh, there was like a launch price.
Yeah, it's still $35.99. Oh, it ends December 22nd. So you get
there you go.
$35.99. Yeah.
Well, hopefully this helps you. And it's also on PSVR. So this game is good. This is a good news. This game's on PC VR, Quest, and PSVR. That means this is a multiplayer game. That means there's going to be people to play with. It's cross-play.
It is?
Yeah.
I'm not. Oh, okay.
You were probably 90% of the people you were playing with were on Quest.
Oh, I was thinking PSVR. I wonder if PSVR people can. Probably not.
I've seen them. No, I've seen them in there.
Oh,
so,
okay.
like, when you're in a lobby, at least in a lobby when you're loading up, it will show what they're playing on. Yeah, you can see it in the social.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead? Tell us, what is this game about?
All right, so this is a co-op shooter where up to 4 people can do, you do repeated runs of these levels, fighting zombies with your guns, and you're trying to earn harvest, which is kind of like a form of currency. And you kill a zombie, and then you run over to it where its corpse is, and this little I don't know, this little thing will fly towards you, and that's basically the harvest. And so you scavenge supplies, and the setting I think is L.A. So the levels, you start out Skid Row, then Chinatown, and then do you know what the next levels are called?
I do not. The one's like a tower.
Yeah, there's a tower. That's like the last one.
Yeah, they're kind of nondescript.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's supposed to be like we're like this frozen wasteland from this alternative reality in like the 1980s in LA, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's 5 levels. I don't think I've done all 5 levels, but you have.
I have. Yes.
Yeah.
So I've beaten it on the veteran difficulty, which is kind of like the quote unquote normal difficulty, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get to because I was having some issues with the progression. So what am I missing from the objective? When you first start the game, there's a little bit of story in the beginning, sort of, with this guy that's talking to you. But then after that, you're put into a lobby, and then from there, it's just a straight up multiplayer game. I don't even know if you can play like by yourself with just AI. Maybe you can.
I don't think you'd want to.
Yeah, because it would suck.
It would suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the AI are pretty bad.
Yeah, and I think the important way to describe this game is this is like Left 4 Dead in VR. That's what they're going for. Yeah. And I think what's going to be interesting about this review is I love Left 4 Dead. It's one of my favorite all-time games. And you've never played Left 4 Dead.
I've never played it. Yeah.
So that's good. This is perfect because this makes the review like it's going to appeal to everybody, whether you played it or not. You're going to get a perspective from somebody who's played it and loved Left 4 Dead, and you're going to get the perspective from somebody who's not only not played Left 4 Dead, but probably has not played a Left 4 Dead type of game.
Yeah, I own Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, and I have for many years, and I've never played them.
You owe it to yourself to play Left 4 Dead.
I was thinking about playing them before this review, so I could do a comparison.
If you ever want to play Left 4 Dead, just let me know.
Okay.
I'll play. So that's the perspective that I think you need to you, the listener, you need to kind of view this game as, right? And for better or for worse. I mean, I'm going to compare it to Left 4 Dead. I'm going to talk about how it hits the mark and doesn't hit the mark. And then recently, if Back 4 Blood just came out, which is the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead in the 2D realm. So that came out in October. So it's really interesting. I've been playing a lot of Left 4 Dead-esque type of games, only wishing that Valve would just make Left 4 Dead VR. Please, Valve. Please. We're so close. They're so close to getting it. But I guess I'll take this for now. Anything else that you want to mention about the overview and objective?
There isn't really. I mean, like I said in the very beginning, they try to give you this story, and while you're playing, the characters you're playing as are talking to each other the whole time. And I'm never able to pay attention to what they're saying. Are you? So I don't know if that's part of a story that we're supposed to be paying attention to.
So again, this is very Left 4 Dead-ish. So Left 4 Dead, there's no single player in Left 4 Dead. You can play with bots, but the whole kind of point of that game is you're playing with a group of your friends and it's co-op. And in Left 4 Dead, they have characters, and the characters in After the Fall do things like the characters in Left 4 Dead do, where they talk amongst each other. You'll hear them talk during the mission. And that's kind of like, there's not a story per se, but like through the game as you play, that's part of the story. Like, I think when I was reading about Left 4 Dead back in the day, they're like, there is no story, you are the story, right? Like, you're just playing, you can kind of pick up on what's going on. It's your experience with friends playing through this zombie apocalypse kind of deal. And again, they're trying to replicate that. Where this falls short is, I think, obviously Left 4 Dead does such a stellar job in the characters. Like, everyone, you play Left 4 Dead, you know Bill, and you know what kind of character Bill is. This game, the characters are so, I don't even know if they have names.
Jimmy.
Well, Jimmy's always there's always an AI Jimmy.
Yeah.
But like, I don't even know if you can't choose your character like you can in Left 4 Dead. You're just assigned a random skin, and they do talk, but they don't talk a lot like in the way Left 4 Dead does. Where Left 4 Dead, you know all the characters, you know their personality, like Nick, who's this gambler who's sarcastic in Left 4 Dead 2, and then you've got Coach. Like, Left 4 Dead created for not having a story per se, they created such a great universe, and the characters have personality, and you know the characters, and you can talk about the characters and what they're like and what they would do in a situation. In this game, there's like none of that. So again, this game kind of falls short of the standards of a game that came out in 2008, 2009, right? It doesn't do that, but it's still trying to kind of do that a little bit.
Is Left 4 Dead third person or first person?
First person.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so this game is Left 4 Dead in the sense, and for those who haven't played Left 4 Dead, the structure of the game is that you're trying to get from point A to point B. You're trying to get from one safe room to the next safe room, and then that's the same as Left 4 Dead. After the Fall has some other things going on that Left 4 Dead doesn't, which is nice, such as as you kill the zombies, I forget what they're called in this game, so we're just going to call them zombies. They're like these frozen zombies. As you kill the frozen zombies in the game, you get more money, and then when you get to the safe room, there's like these arcade machines, and you use them to buy. You can't buy much. You can buy like a health shot, and you can buy a pipe bomb, and then like missiles for your wrist thing. That's it. In Left 4 Dead, you didn't buy stuff. There was just some ammo, and then in Back 4 Blood has like way more things you can buy in the safe rooms. But then like after you get to the safe room, you go to kind of another portion of this campaign. The campaigns are like whatever you want to call them. Let's say there's 5 campaigns, 5 levels, whatever. Each campaign it's like 15 to 20 minutes maybe. There's maybe 3 or 4 sections, and then at the end there's like kind of like an onslaught of zombies and like larger boss zombies that you're fighting. And then that's it. And then after you return to the hub is the area of the game where you can form parties, get another mission. After you return to the hub, you can go and spend your money on more guns, although really there are only 6 guns in the game. But there's a lot of modifications you can do to the guns that will improve like your accuracy, your recoil, your damage, and things like that. And it's like this loop in After the Fall where even though there's only 5 levels per se, you keep on playing them over and over again, and the levels will have like these floppy disks that will give you, if you survive, they'll give you the upgrades to your gun. So you're trying to like, I guess the hook or the replay mechanism loop is like keep on playing, you get more money, you can unlock not only more guns, which you'll do that pretty quickly, but you can unlock mods for the guns, and then that will allow you to maybe play on a harder difficulty level as you've gotten better with the game, and you keep on rinse, wash, and repeat. So that is I've got 6 hours into the game, and I really wish I knew how long it took me to beat it. Maybe 4 of those hours were just kind of playing through the game. I mean, obviously some of them is just being spent in a lobby and trying to organize or get into a game. And then it also has a multiplayer aspect to it, which is just a straight up deathmatch thing, which is okay. I think what it's missing compared to Left 4 Dead is Left 4 Dead, the real thing that I loved about it and what kept me into Left 4 Dead is Left 4 Dead has a asynchronous or asymmetric multiplayer mode, asymmetric PvP mode. Whereas, Justin, imagine like, you know how we're playing After the Fall, we're running through the missions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that it's us and 2 other of our friends, and then there's 4 people on the other team, but the 4 people on the other team get to be like boss zombies and spawn in and try to stop us.
Like Smasher style dudes?
Yeah, like when there's those like the bigger bosses you got to take down. That's how Left 4 Dead is. Left 4 Dead like had special infected. Mm-hmm. And you play this multiplayer version where you're trying to see who can get farther in each game, right? You're trying to stop them from getting to the safe room, and that was so much fun, right? Setting up traps, working together. One team would try to run through, and the other team would be the infected, and then you'd switch. That's Left 4 Dead. This game doesn't have that, and that was like the biggest thing that I loved about Left 4 Dead. That was my favorite mode in it. So I wish that After the Fall had that. I know they said they're going to add more game modes, but to be honest, with the kind of boss zombies that they have, the special zombies, I don't see how they would do that. They'd have to add in a lot more they're not really balanced for human beings controlling them in a way that makes sense. At least I don't think so. I don't think so. I could be wrong, but that, I think, to me, that's an important thing to making this game something special. If you're going to really try to be a Left 4 Dead clone.
Okay.
Right. That's hopefully that gives everybody an overview and objective. And this will play into lastability. I think we'll pick up that thread when we get there. What do you think about the graphics in the game?
I think they're pretty good. I don't remember really seeing anything where I was disappointed in the graphics or anything. I think I was actually kind of surprised at how good some stuff looked. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought they were really good, actually. I mean, they're not like Half-Life Alyx level, but at the same time, they can't be, because what this game does is they put a lot of the zombies on the screen at the same time.
Yeah.
And the animations of the zombies, I don't know if you noticed, they're pretty good. Like, if you shoot a zombie in the leg, you'll see their leg blow off, and they'll still try to come after you, or arm.
Yeah.
And there could be, like, I don't know, there's like 20-plus zombies on the screen often. That's a lot going on, and there's a lot of effects going on. I was really impressed at the way it handled that and still managed to look good. The backdrop is like, you're like in this frozen over world where everything's like snow, and it's kind of like it's kind of cool in that sense because it's something different. We haven't seen that in a zombie game, so I appreciate that. But it also becomes very samey. I felt like, as you were saying earlier, like you're trying to think of the other couple levels in the game, and that's the problem. Like, this game starts looking very samey throughout the 5 levels. It's really hard to pinpoint certain moments in the game, certain aesthetics in the game that separates one level from another. You're outside in the snow, and then you're inside almost like in an apartment levels, and that's it. I think maybe the coolest level was the tower, how you're going up in the elevator. I like that one a lot. That one, there needed to be more of that in the game. There really did. It was just way too plain. And again, when you talk about Left 4 Dead did such a good job of taking you on a journey through these different settings. Everything from like, okay, now you're in a subway, now you're in a mall, now you're in a hospital, now you're in a swamp, and now you're in a plantation house, now you're in a carnival. Like, this game doesn't do really any of that. It's kind of boring in that sense, but it still looks good.
Yeah, there's a level where they start you in a subway, but then you immediately leave the subway. And
that was odd. That was an odd decision.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't make that a little bit longer. Like, yeah, I was like, oh, cool, Subway, Left 4 Dead. Like, it's like, all right, kind of generic, but yeah, you're out of it before you even know it.
Yeah.
All right, but overall, I think they did a really good job. And here's a pro tip. I've got a 2080. Justin's got a 3090, right?
3080.
3080. Okay. I always have my FPS VR when I load up a game to make sure I'm not getting reprojection. I try to keep a constant, at least 90 frames a second, so it's smooth and it doesn't dip into that. I was getting a lot of reprojection in this game, and I found out the solution was disabling the shadows. There's little check mark boxes in the settings. Just disable them. Shadows, like, dude, I wasn't looking for the shadows, but you're not going to miss it, and your performance is going to improve significantly. And it's going to be where it needs to be. All right. What about the sound of music? What do you think of it?
We were talking about the characters talking earlier. I didn't really like that. Like, I felt the reason I asked if Left 4 Dead was third person, because I feel weird being a first person character and then my character is talking for me. I don't like that. Like, I'm the character, so hearing these other characters talking, unless you're only are you hearing the other characters talk but not yourself? I don't know.
It's hard to say because the characters are so non-descriptive. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I think
I don't even know who I am.
They say reloading a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know if my character's saying reloading or not. It didn't bother me, but I understand what you're saying. Like, I get how somebody would feel that way.
Or like, we're trying to talk to each other in the game, but the characters are talking, and like, I don't need to hear you talking because I'm like, maybe I'm saying, hey, I need to reload. I don't have any ammo, but then the character's like, reloading. I don't know. It's I just kind of feel like that's unnecessary, but maybe they're just trying to fill the game with some audio. And Did you notice that the 3D audio was weird, or was that just me?
No, not at all.
No.
And
Okay.
usually pretty sensitive to that stuff.
Okay. Maybe that was just me. I don't know. It might have only been in the lobby that it was turning my head. It was just like I felt like I was immediately hearing stuff in my left ear, and it wasn't like gradually dissipating as I turned my head. I don't know. I don't really remember the music in the game much, or the sound. Uh, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's not memorable to me. Do you remember anything about it?
Yeah, it's kind of synth wave esque.
Okay.
It's not
All right.
purely all synth wave, but there's some of that vibe. Like they're trying to do like this. They're touching on synth wave. Like the hub is like in this arcade and stuff, which again it's fine. It's whatever.
I like the arcade, of course.
Yeah, I thought the sound design, the guns sound pretty good. I didn't mind the characters talking because I'm used to Left 4 Dead. I think the Left 4 Dead is the character action is way better. I know what you're saying about like characters talking in VR, not talking in VR. They never got annoying to me, and I think they at least erred on the side of not being too annoying or not being too much. And that's the kind of thing that would definitely bother me if it was obnoxious, and it never was. The music's fine. It's not bad. It's nothing that says amazing, but I think the sound is integrated into the game in a good way where it doesn't take away from the game, and it only adds, and it's only a plus. The zombie noises are all right. They're fine. Overall, I said the sound definitely gets the job done. It's pretty solid, but it's not, as you were saying, it's not like the most memorable thing where we'd spend 10 minutes just talking about how amazing the sound design is.
Yeah. So
right.
you want to go on the controls?
Let's do that. Let's do that. One thing that I want to say, it doesn't really slot in necessarily with any of our categories we have, but I think they did a really good job with the VR options. I think they know what they're doing. This is a company that knows what they're doing. One option I really liked is you're able to adjust where like your guns are holstered on your body.
Yeah.
Lets you do that right before you get in there. Like Larcenauts, my God, like the gun, my guns are like almost at my chest level. Like it's ridiculous, and like the reload's so awkward there. They let you adjust this, and that's cool. And it's just like everything in the game. There's so many things to adjust, and I thought that was really good. Like I never had any. I don't feel like there was anything lacking in the settings other than bHaptics support, of course. But I wasn't left wanting. I thought they had all the things that should be in there at this point in VR.
The only thing lacking for me with settings was knowing how to get to it, because you had to do a right stick click to get to it.
Yeah.
And I tried everything but that, basically.
Yeah, that's yeah, and I don't like clicking the sticks in VR, especially with the index controller problem. So yeah, unfortunately it's that. But yeah, that's a good pro tip for anybody jumping into the game. I know you struggle with that, and a lot of other people did as well.
Yeah. So it has index finger tracking. Then there's two reload types, and you were using the more advanced reload, whereas I was using the basic reload, which is the same as Arizona Sunshine's reload, I think, where you just eject your magazine with a button press, and then you bring the controller to your chest, and that's how you reload. Like in this game, I felt like I had to do that way, because having a gun in each hand, it would like take too long for me to manually do each gun, dealing with all of these, so many zombies that are coming at me. But I don't know how you managed it.
Well, I just, when I'm in VR, I want to be doing manual reloading, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I opted for that, and I don't have a gun in each hand.
Oh, you
right?
don't?
Like, because that's not realistic to me, right? Like, I mean, I could, but to your point, it's harder to reload. So I usually two-hand a gun.
Oh, okay.
For my aiming, and then like I might quickly grab the other gun if I need more ammo, something like that. So I don't two-hand a gun because of the reloading thing. And going back to like the settings and the options, like I'm glad that they included an option like that's cool. And they also go a step further in that if you do the manual reloading, which is more difficult way to play, you hit the nail on the head. It definitely is. They will give you more money that you earn in the game. So there's like a bonus modifier for doing that. So I imagine maybe on like the harder difficulties, and I started moving up in the difficulty. It might get to the point where it's like I will have to do like the kind of like auto or easier reload simply because it's just the game gets too hard. But on veteran, I was able to play like that, and I think that's part of the challenge, right? Like just being able to do a faster, cleaner reload. The thing where I got into trouble with the reload is that I think with the index controllers, you've got to get really close for the reload, and if you're not careful, you can clink the controllers together. I've just kind of gotten used to not doing that, and like the shotgun, I kept on, cocking the shotgun by accident.
Mm-hmm.
It was way too easy to do that, so that was tricky. Like the reloading and stuff system in this game is not as fluid as a game like Pavlov. I mean, Pavlov plays like a dream in the sense of like reloading guns and doing all that. Where this game is a little more clunky. It's not as bad as Larsenauts. Larsenauts is a real kind of mess compared to that, but it's serviceable. I think it works.
Yeah, if I had an assault rifle, I'd be doing manual reload. But I just unlocked that. I haven't even gotten to try it yet. But yeah, I've been doing the 2 pistols. I didn't even realize people are playing with 1 pistol. Okay.
I just started kind of focusing more on like headshots, right? Like because ammo can be scarce at times. So like you were running out of ammo, right? Like
oh yeah.
So I think I just kind of, because I've played a little bit longer than you, I just kind of learned to do the two, do the 2 thing and try to aim for the head when I can.
Does that actually steady your fire in the game?
Good question. I mean, the game definitely recognizes that I'm doing that, so I have to imagine it does.
Okay.
And it even lets you, like on the assault rifles, like it even lets you hold it like either at the barrel or like the clip, like so it gives you those options on where you want to hold it.
Okay.
And it tends to affect the movement of the gun.
I heard that this game used to have melee, so people were in like beta versions or alpha versions of it where they said they were hitting the zombies with their fists and killing them that way, and they took it out for some reason. And I was wondering I've noticed when I was playing, I felt like my hitbox was kind of big. Like, it kind of felt like sometimes a zombie wasn't that close to me, it was still able to hit me, and I wonder if that's why they took melee away, because nobody could get close enough to hit a zombie without taking damage. I don't know.
Yeah, it's bizarre to have a zombie game and not have melee, especially when it was in the game. I mean, yeah, it's weird not to have melee. I think that they need to figure out a way to put that back in through updates.
Yeah, like maybe they said they might add it back in. Yeah, like maybe with like axes or weapons. Maybe if they don't want to do fists because that's like too close to the enemies or something.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Left 4 Dead has melee. Back 4 Blood. I mean, it's a zombie game. You need to have some melee.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially when people are running out of ammo. Like, it's just stupid that you can't hit even like with the butt of your gun, right? To like even stagger him back or do something.
Yeah, I had a bunch of times where I was out of ammo and I just had to run away.
Yeah, that's I would definitely take issue with that in this game. It's a failure of them not to have melee.
Yeah. And I guess that's part of the immersion. We'll talk about the lack of melee. So that's kind of hurts immersion. But I noticed that my hands and every object I could hold would actually stop at the wall. In most VR games, your hands can go through the walls and objects you hold will go through, but like everything got stopped like it would in Half-Life Alyx. So I was impressed by that. I
was impressed too, and they didn't do it in like an annoying way where you're like getting caught on doors and stuff, right? Like, but they didn't take it to the extreme where some games do. But yeah, it's like if you move your gun like to the wall, it's not going to go through. You're not going to put your hand through the wall. It will stop you. So it that was nice without being distracted. So they figured out like the right mix of realism without taking away from the fun and being annoying.
Yeah. Have you played Boneworks yet?
No, it just doesn't. It seems like a sandbox, unstructured game, which is like not my cup of tea.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's one where you can get caught on stuff and get annoyed.
Yeah, I don't like that. I know that there's this drive for like these pure physics and stuff. Like it's like what's that sword game? What's it called? Sword
Blade and Sorcery.
Yeah, it's like that kind of stuff, and that's like to me that's too much. I know some people love that. I want the happy medium. I don't want to be putting my hands through walls and stuff, but I also don't want it to be annoying where I'm getting caught on stuff. Like so, I think this game made the right decision here.
Anything else with immersion that you can think of?
That is a good question. I'm trying to think if there's like some kind of cool immersion things that it does. I think the immersion's good in the game. Like I said, it needs bHaptics support. That's part of it. But is there anything else that it does where it just works out really well? I don't know. I wish that I don't like how it has the guns like holster on your hips. Like Pavlov will have like on your back, I think.
Yeah.
So some guns or like on your chest. And when it's on my hips, I was accidentally grabbing it a lot of times.
Yep.
And it didn't really mess anything up by doing that, because when you let go, it's just kind of like just falls right back to your hip. So it's like sticky, which is a good functional design choice. This game is arcadey, but I wish they had an option for like on the back or over the shoulder or on the chest. Like again, Pavlov just has this down to a T on how to handle things like that. But other than that, it's pretty solid. If you shoot like a box of ammo, the ammo just comes to you, which is fine. Again, this is an arcadey shooter. It doesn't need to be super like I need to go on the table and pick something up, because it's a fast-paced game with like constant action.
Yeah, you could shoot an ammo box that's, half a football field away, and the ammo will fly to you. And I had to learn that from other players, because I had no idea. I was running up to them and hitting them with my... Because you can melee, for some reason, the ammo boxes. And there's also, like, there's shelves and stuff, like, that you'll find where you can actually melee them to get them to open, which that just made me realize it makes it even weirder that there isn't melee on the enemies. Yeah. But I guess they're a moving target, and I guess that's why.
Yeah. All right. Last ability.
Yeah. Well, there are 5 levels, and that's it right now. And each one is 15 to 20 minutes long.
That's what they were saying online.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've beaten them all, so what do you think?
It felt like
longer.
No, I don't. Maybe 20 minutes.
Okay.
Some of the levels, like Chinatown, are shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Like that level flies by. It's like an appropriate amount. Like it doesn't drag on too long. It doesn't feel like way overly short. They're formulaic in the sense of what happens, and I think the real last ability is this. If you could find a group of friends to play with, this game is a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Your level of enjoyment is going to be like, I've got a group of friends. I want to play this game through with them. I'm going to hop in, just blast a bunch of zombies, and that's going to be a lot of fun. If you go in it alone, I think you can still have a good amount of fun. I mean, I've played on my own a lot. Because I'm having trouble, I think, getting people in Discord to get this game, or knowing people who have it, besides the few times you and I played it. And, people have been respectful and fun to play with. There's not, like, screaming kids, which is great in this game. And so it's fun in that. I think the question is, okay, I've played through the 5 levels. What is my motivation for going back? I'm not a huge completionist, so I don't necessarily care about beating it on every level. I don't care about getting every gun and getting every mod available. You know what I mean?
Have you unlocked every gun?
I think I've got every gun unlocked.
Okay.
There's a lot of modding to be done. I
Yeah.
think that's the thing, and like I do find the gameplay is good. Like the shooting's good. It feels good. I will like I'm trying to like guess with the base game. I know they're supposed to release another run, which is a level, another game mode. I think another PvP map. I think at the base game right now, I can easily get another 4 hours of fun in this game, which will put me at 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Will I get with the base game up to 20 hours? Probably not. As I think maybe more if I had friends who pick up this game, I would jump in with them and play through this in a heartbeat with them. Like, I think it's just a fun game to jump in and shoot zombies with. So that's kind of like that's kind of the last ability. The last ability is not an easy. This game's super like many hours you're going to get out of it, or it's over and done with, and there's not enough content in there. I think the content's light. I really do. And that's been a constant criticism that I've seen of this game is that there's just not a lot here for $40. But I say that's the reality of VR games right now. Like, this is a $40 VR game. That's what we're getting with VR games. It's polished. It looks good. It works well. It's cross-play. There's a very healthy population of people to play with. They do have some lastability built in. I thought, I do think this. I do think that, man, five levels is too little. It needs more. It should have probably launched with 10 for $40. But then I come back down to earth and I say, well, what game is $40 that is crossplay, has more content than this at this level of polish, and there really doesn't exist. So it doesn't. There's the VR space is so limited right now that the price point makes sense for the environment that we're in.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no issue with the price.
Do you think you're going to get a lot of play out of this game?
Probably not. Probably not.
Why not? Because it's not your style of game, or because it's not you tend to be like a story driven and single player.
Yeah, I'm more
right?
story driven, single player exploration type of person.
Yeah.
So that's the reason.
Yeah.
But there was one game called Slightly Heroes in VR that I played over 100 hours of because it had a leaderboard.
Oh, wow.
It had a leaderboard, and I became addicted to being on top of the leaderboard. So maybe if they added some sort of leaderboard to this, maybe I'd be more interested. And I had that game, I had an actual chance of being the top person in the world sometimes. In this game, probably not going to happen.
I didn't know that that's like the we've learned this twice in this podcast.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's a leaderboard.
Yeah, I can be competitive sometimes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. It's the leaderboard. Oh, got it.
Yeah.
I got it. All right. Good to know. All right.
It's like a high score table on an arcade game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna rate this at? What do you think?
All right. So my issues are this game I think needs a tutorial. For example, was the right stick click. I didn't know how to get into settings, and there's just a bunch of things I had to learn from people while playing, and I guess that's fine. But I don't like being in a game and having to ask a lot of questions of people, which is what I have to do in this game. So that's why I want them to add some sort of tutorial. They have a little thing where they teach you how to reload in the beginning, but I think that's about all they teach you. I sometimes experience network issues where a match would start and then the match, just the screen would go black, and like you could hear everyone talking, but I couldn't see anything, and I was like, "Am I stuck on something in the level?" And I was walking around, but nothing, so I had to like exit out. There's a lobby issue where, like you have to invite your friends to a party, and then you join the party, and then you can go into, a run together. But then if you exit back to the lobby, like a lot of times you're not gonna hear your friends anymore. Like they could end up being in a completely different lobby, and then you have to like do the party invite again. And then even if they join your party, if they're in a different lobby, you can't hear them. Didn't you have that issue, Nick?
Not sure.
Okay.
I had my issue was like I've played so many games where like I would launch with 4 players, and then like one player would always drop out, and I'd be left with Jimmy the AI.
Yeah, that happened too. Well, I was playing with some guys, and we did some matches or some runs, and then we went to the lobby. And then once we went to the lobby, I was only still able to talk to one of them, and the other guys went into their own separate lobbies, so you couldn't even hear them. But you could do the party invite to invite them, but even once we were all in the same party, we couldn't hear each other. So the only way to hear each other would have been to be on Discord with those people until the match starts. Once the run actually starts, everyone can hear each other. So they definitely have to fix that. That happened many times, like when I was playing the lobby thing.
Yeah, there's a problem with the lobbies where I had this issue where somebody is the lobby leader and they don't start the game up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It becomes like a dead lobby, and then they just kind of camp there, and it just really messes up, especially if you're trying to play like a particular mission and you're searching for a game and it keeps on putting you in this lobby where the guy's like AFK, doesn't know how to launch it, or is just just like trolling.
I heard that people sometimes will start a lobby and then they think the game's just waiting to find people, and then they'll go off and like into the weapon customization room and start working on weapons. But once you do that, I think it totally holds up your game, and they don't realize that. Yeah,
they need to fix these things, and they're not the worst things in the world. I mean, at launch, this game, I've not ran into too many like issues or anything that's been terrible or kind of like out of the ordinary for a launch of a new game, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, good points that you're bringing up.
And I had this level progression issue where we went through I went through the first level with you, and then I must not have gone and pressed the bell at that girl Luna. So like that next level, Chinatown, never unlocked for me. And then like I played more levels with other people, and then after those levels, I went and hit the bell, and she kept saying that I needed to do Skid Row, but I already beat Skid Row with you and some other guy, but I had to keep doing Skid Row, and like I had to keep playing and playing until I could finally unlock Chinatown. I don't know what that was about, but it's weird that every time you beat a level, you have to go over to this counter to this girl and hit a bell, and then she'll unlock like the next level, but it just wasn't working for me. Anyway, I wanted to say all that. So I think my rating is a 7.5.
All right.
I like it, but I've had a bunch of issues with it, and I would prefer there to be some sort of single player stuff in addition. But like you said, it's Left 4 Dead, and that's not single player. So
yeah, understood. And like going into this as a Left 4 Dead fan, in some ways this is great. I know what to expect. I'm not looking for a single player story experience. I know that's not what this is, so I'm not holding it up to that standard. But at the same time, like Left 4 Dead is a game that does a lot of things still, even though it's over 12 years old. It does things a lot better than this game does, and this game is it's fair to say it's lacking in some content. Mm-hmm. It could have used more. I mean, they could have really blown it out of the water with more. But after playing it for a few days and reflecting on it, they just don't have to. they have no competition in this space, and they put out a solid game. They didn't have to launch with 10 runs, 10 levels, or whatever you want to call it. I can't even remember what it's called, 10 runs. I don't know. They don't have to do that because they can launch with 5 and they have no competition, and everyone's going to buy it that wants a game like this. And they just have to make sure that what is there is good, and what is there is good. The core of the game, playing with a group of 3 other people, going through these levels, the combat's good. The shooting the zombies is satisfying. There's enough hectic moments, I guess, even though it does falter, not live up to some of the key set pieces and environments and moments in a game like Left 4 Dead or even Back 4 Blood. There's definitely room for improvement. There's no other options in VR, and the game looks good. It sounds good. This is a solid like AA. Maybe not AAA, but very, very high AA plus effort game that is working pretty well on launch, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with this game in terms of what they add to it. So I'm hopeful that they keep on coming out with things. They keep on pushing this game. I know they did that with Arizona Sunshine in some ways, so I'm sure they'll do it with this. I'm sure it's selling quite well. It's great that it's on 3 platforms. It's great that they got this game. It doesn't seem dumbed down for Quest at all on PC. I think it looks great. I think on Quest I'm sure it doesn't look that great. On PC, like for example, we didn't mention this, but like we have flashlights on PC. On Quest, they don't.
Yeah, I heard that. That's
so
crazy.
on Quest, they just make the dark levels brighter. So we get actually darkness. So that's cool. And we've talked about this before. I'm glad they didn't hurt the PC version of this game because of the Quest. Or the fact that this runs on PSVR, which, my God, I can't believe that that's the case. So I think they did a really good job with this game. I think it's fun. Again, your mileage is going to vary on what kind of game you're looking for and then, who you're playing with. But I'm going to give this game a 9. Believe me, I can see areas where it could be better. Again, content, I think they didn't phone it in. They didn't create something where I think we're just hungry in VR for more, and we always sort of get the bare minimum sometimes. For $40, this feels like the bare minimum for $40. It's riding an edge of like, man, there should have been more campaigns or levels, but for what's there is good. It's fun. I'm glad I got it, and I'll continue to play this more.
But $35.99 until December 22nd.
That's a little more palatable.
Yeah.
It helps.
Yeah.
It helps.
And you reminded me that I need to play. I got the last DLC for Arizona Sunshine, but I never played it. So that reminds me I need to try that.
Yeah, I'm guessing if I went back in that game, I'm just going to find it did not age well.
Probably.
Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for this episode. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, just happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays to everybody. We'll catch you in 2022. Take care.